Greetings, friends. Before start, I would like to invite you to the Spanish channel, on which we have already a big community. We must overturn to wisdom and light. Educate for the future. That's the mission of we all. Stop instilling and submitting our children under the yoke of the ephemeral banality. This project goes beyond any political or religious dogma. Beyond all evil. These are the great truths of the world. Truths that we have never been allowed to see. That we have never been able to appreciate, cause that's how we've been educated since we were little. To subdue us and weaken all ineffable beliefs. In this video I'm going to reveal the biggest secret of your life. The reason and purpose of life itself. Both from the world and from our life consciousness. The purification. Purification of nature and the purification of our consciousness. Consciousness that is directly connected to the pineal gland and its function as one of the big medical secrets that has been hidden from us. For example, they say to the medical students that it is a discarded organ, but it is not. The pineal gland is the connection with our third eye, with our past lives, and with the Akashic records. It is the organ through which we dream and imagine, and once it is activated, it connects us to other dimensions of reality, allowing us to make an astral travel, leaving our physical body, to travel with our ethereal body, allowing us to see beings from other dimensions, develop psychic abilities such as clairvoyance or telepathy, and even the possibility of seeing the past. All this by opening the Akashic records, which is the RAM memory of nature. It is not difficult to know why it's a secret. All religions have talked about this spiritually connection, so that we all already believe in that connection with the divine plane. Even the non-awakened or the not initiated. All people believe in something, or go to temples, seeking for amplificate that divine connection. Connection that is in us. That's why it is said that our body is a temple. The pineal gland has several meanings. For the Catholic religion, it means the power of God. For Freemasonry, the vision of the Cyclops. In the Egyptian tradition it is known as the Eye of Horus. Also in sacred geometry, we can see that the Eye of Horus corresponds exactly to all the structures of the brain, and in the Asian world, as the third eye, or center of clairvoyance and intuition. In initiatory terminology, it is known as the door of paradise, and even the French philosopher Descartes proposed that the pineal gland is what connects the body with the soul. He defined it as the seat of the soul. His proposal arose cause the pineal gland is not duplicated bilaterally in the body, like the hands, legs, or brain. It is only one. And it is also located in an area of extreme importance, by connecting all our senses. In the ancient temples of the Sumerians and Babylonians, the adoration of the pineal was imbued in their symbolism. Even in the Vatican we can see a monument with this form. It is also worn by the popes, and is also found in the hieroglyphs on the walls of the pyramids. That's because of their connection with life and dead. With the substance called DMT, also known as the spiritual molecule, and that curiously, it is released in the phase of rapid eye movement that occur when we are dreaming deeply. Been responsible for the visualization of images in lucid dreams. This gland works only when there is no sunlight, but it can work under the moonlight, which confirms that the moonlight has a very different frequency. But let's continue. The pineal gland produces melatonin from the serotonin during the deep sleep process. This is an alchemical process on which a body secretes a special fluids with impressive function for the body and for the world. Been related to the various cycles of life, and also answering the ancient questions about why we sleep and why we dream. DMT substance is so powerful that it can bring consciousness to multiple levels and planes. Stages between death, consciousness life, and consciousness sleep. Before death, a large amount of DMT is produced, attributed to bring consciousness to another place during said trance. The DMT achieves mystical or interdimensional states. It has profound effects on consciousness, and it's considered the most powerful hallucinogenic or entheogenic found in nature. In the same way, all plants and their processes are the alchemy of this world. All animals and beings, all the minerals and elements, all created with a purpose. Let's understand how all substances are extracted from nature, separated by elements, been purified or synthesized from nature using transformation processes that few centuries ago were considered a secret knowledge. The reality is that we don't create these processes of transformation. We only use them. We are children of the alchemy of this world, and, at the same time, being alchemists, using and transforming matter on our daily basis. They have stolen the majesty even from the very process of preparing a coffee. The seeds roosted with fire, born of nature through etheric and solar energies. Two different processes are used to obtain coffee in the soluble form we use daily: the grind drying and the lyophilization. You can look for them, and you will understand how is that they are alchemy. How is it that every process of physical and chemical transformation of matter, using physical and chemical phenomena, is alchemy? Cause alchemy vindicate God in the actual technology, since they not create the materials, only made use of them. Banning alchemy from being a sacred science, and then persecuted and discredited by the church. Later we may dedicate a full video about it, as well as how ancient civilizations used alchemy to create all those impressive monuments. Now, in this video, I will continue to tell you a little more about the sacred alchemy and the ancient stories related to magic and sorcery. I think everyone has heard of Merlin the wizard, and his epic legend as considered the most powerful wizard in history. He was able to change his shape, to talk to animals, to make himself invisible, and also to control the elements, and even the weather. Although, he used these abilities with great care, so as not to enrage nature. Merlin was a Celtic druid, an alchemist, and a sorcerer, and, at the same time, a great sage who sought to unify the spiritual world and the material world. It was said that Merlin had contacts with fairies, gnomes, and with all beings that inhabit in the spiritual world and in nature. Even with dragons. He is considered the only man who earned the respect and admiration of these monsters, not only because of his goodness and wisdom, but because of his artistic skills. His magic was so powerful that a medieval tradition attributes to him the construction of Stonehenge, the impressive megalithic monument. He is also considered the creator of the famous stone round table of King Arthur, whose replica is exhibited today in Winchester. Then, as we said, more than a wizard, Merlin was an alchemist. Seen alchemy as the art of transformation, and magic as an amazing occult technique. Also, according to the teachings of the magicians, the secrets of alchemy exist to make mortals pass from a state of suffering and ignorance to a state of enlightenment and well-being. Merlin said once, and I quote, "Alchemy operates at all times. It is impossible to prevent the transformations that occur at all levels of life. But it is your transformation that matters." Compared to that, the transformation of an inferior metal into gold is a trifle. In this way, alchemy as such is a quest. It's a path and a process of transformation, both material and spiritual. It has always the same purpose: the purification, both of the soul and of the matter, the transformation of everything. Alchemy is famous for the belief in the transmutation of lead into gold. This being the most perfect of metals because it does not corrode and is a superconductor. Now, the process is already mastered by the black magicians who control humanity, but they do not tell us. I'll talk about that later, but now they are trying to transform coal into diamond. See how alchemy is about processes of transformation and purification. Merlin was the first alchemist to be recognized as a wizard. Or maybe the most famous one, being at the same time a scientist. Not only because of his secret formulas, but also because of his writings, his inventions, and the power he had to transform thoughts and reality. But what is a magician? In simple terms, someone who impressed everyone with a supernatural knowledge of the laws of matter. A comprehension capable of healing and destroying. Capable of seeing this magic in everything and in its working structures. Someone capable of transforming matter at his will. An alchemist is an ancient holistic scientist, and therefore an aspiration to which all the incarnated old souls must reach in a certain moment when they are already aware of their mission and path. Then, the magician is the master of alchemy. Alchemy is transformation, the quest for the purification. That said, maybe we can glimpse how our mission here is to be purified. In other words, choose a path. becoming denser or lighter. Like the frequencies used in ancient magic. Cause now we can also levitate matter with frequencies. Or make things invisible. Transform the elements with frequencies. The geoengineerings and the ecological and scientific tyranny that they intend to apply. How they will prohibit us from entering the forests with the excuse of pollution and climate change. Climate that they are changing, modifying, and controlling. Geoengineering is alchemy magnified. Just like Merlin's but soulless. Harp, for example. It is one of these ionospheric heaters that work with electromagnetic waves. These waves are artificially produced and reach something like 1 billion watts. Electromagnetic frequencies that are fired into the ionosphere to literally control the weather. They will never tell us that what we use is alchemy. Not even those who are doing it know it. This is a very dangerous technological process that can also be used to produce all kinds of natural catastrophes, such as tsunamis, or earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or climate alterations on entire regions, producing hurricanes, droughts, fires, floods, and even oceanic rising. These are technologies that are not discussed in public, but have been around for decades. In the UN Convention on Environmental Modification, the famous NMOD Convention of 1977, these weapons were exposed and explained the effects they can have when used. This is not even a secret. Decades ago they were invented and tested. It's like a covered war that is fought between the manipulated millionaires against all humanity itself, and against the natural laws, against nature on which we depend. In 1974, there was a treaty between the US and the Soviet Union, the secret Vladivostok Agreement, in which they planned to heat the Arctic together, because they wanted to melt the ice to get the oil. Today, parts of the Arctic ice have melted because they used electromagnetic waves for that. ELF waves, which are extremely low-frequency waves. This has nothing to do with global warming, but instead, with this military technology, and with this eternal race for obtain resources. I discovered that the elites are not interested in the issue of global warming. They use it as an excuse. They are doing it because they need to spray metals into the air as conductors. They need a conductive atmosphere to implant the 5G and the chip. This is why they are spraying so many metals. Heavy metals like barium, strontium, and aluminum, which is not a heavy metal, but a very good conductor of electromagnetic waves. Another effect of the atmosphere being full of metal is that it's drying out. So we have much less rain in Europe. And this has nothing to do with a warm-up or with CO2. Some countries like Italy are drying up for unknown reasons. And then, you have strange fires that are induced by atmospheric energetic laser weapons. Like what happened in Portugal, Australia, and in California, or in the Amazon. These peculiar fires have nothing to do with normal forest fires. And they are not even destroying simple forests, but rather the memory of this world nature. It is like a covert war. A war, both physical and spiritual. Global warming and CO2 have nothing to do with this. This whole thing about CO2 and global warming is used to distract people from what is really happening, so they don't see what is being done to the world and to the future. The problem is also that people do not know anything about what is happening around them and do not even know that this is merely possible. We have to look behind the climate change agenda. From Agenda 21 and the ecological tyranny that is upon us. See how we have all this movement of smart cities, the 5G, and the metaverse. The technification of society around the chips and the digital money. In addition to a kind of point-based restriction policies. Very similar to what is seen in shows like Black Mirror. Programs. To program your mind. This goes beyond what we think. We must day by day educate children for the future. Talk them about all this that ordinary people just ignore. It is our mission as awakened beings, and you must accept it. Now that you know the great truths of this world, you are no longer an ordinary person. You have woken up to the manipulation that they sell us, as if it were the best. There is so much out there that are occulted for normal people. It is time to change and stop giving them our children to educate. Time to get children out of the toxic schools. A child must be brought up in virtue and love, in nature and knowledge, in respect. Only after having known these principles will they be able to meet philosophy and arts, dialectics and hermeneutics, alchemy. Things that they no longer teach us because they don't want us to see the world as it really is. Its majesty and its processes. Let us realize that none of this is a coincidence. We need to wake up and make kids aware of all these realities. When we transform, the world in which we live will also transform. The goals define the quest. The heroism, the hope, the grace and love are the legacy of the eternal. The ether. The need to find our way, and the reason for we to be here. Love is pure alchemy. The creation of another being. The search for an immortality. The hormones and courtship rituals that lead to sexual reproduction. All the fluids involved. Realize how we ourselves are the product of love and alchemy. That is why love moves the world. Not only in us, but in all creatures. Imagine a world where we teach this since childhood. A world of respect and communion. Of love and light. An utopia. The word utopia was created by Thomas More to describe a place where everything happened in peace and harmony, a perfect society, completely free and in communion. Its origin is found in two Greek words, ou, which means not, and topos, which means place. That is etymologically translated as place that does not exist. Utopia is then often used as a synonym for something non-existent or imaginary, when the underlying sense is that this should be taught and sought. Profiled as the inexorable goal of all humanity. But it is not like that, and in fact, the concept was created to describe that place as an impossible, rather than to make it possible. On the other hand, the word opposite to utopia is called dystopia, and it describes a completely unwanted and chaotic society. It is made up of the Greek words dys, which means bad, and topos, which means place, which is then translated as bad place. Now that we know the meaning of these concepts, we can take a look at our society. What are we? Utopia or dystopia? I will left the question open, but we clearly know where we live. Simply by considering that living in peace and harmony is something impossible, evidences the mental control in which society remains. Society that takes the prevailing madness as something normal. For example, war requires tons of money, engineering, logistics, industry, military, weapons, tanks, planes, bombs, bullets, etc. That is, a gigantic machinery to carry out a business whose main objective is that humans kill each other for the benefit of a few, the same who artificially created and organized the conflict. On the other hand, peace is completely free and requires absolutely nothing more than the will to live in harmony and order. The will to do and educate for the future. In no longer allowing governments to educate to compete and destroy. Let's educate our children. We are so used to the mainstream, so we forgot that it is our way to choose. We who are aware of the Illuminati lies are the ones who will make true change possible. Let's share these truths and seek to wake up more than one person a day. It is necessary to understand the incredible ancient truths that we will never be taught in any school or university. You are the firsts. Nothing is a casualty. We are here to make this world better through our love and wisdom. We have been tricked for thinking that it has always been this way. But now, we are in a process of change, and it is our duty to wake up and realize all the deceptions under which all humanity is subjected. Realize everything wonderful and mysterious that they hide from us, and that clearly responds to totally eclipsed realities. The great knowledge that existed, and how everything is related. Fitting perfectly with the transformation processes that we observe now. In reality, history and cycles repeat themselves. Life is not a game. It's a school. A school in which our souls are purified and tested. Purified again and again, until reach the right level. Only the bravest of us are the ones who have returned to help. To suffer again. I know that only a few will understand these words, and this is for those few. Let's educate for the future. It is our only weapon against them. The most effective, and is in our hands. Share. We speak the truth, and we will be heard. You just have to wake up from the great deception. The system does not work. Time to get out. Reactive Factory Project.